It's hardly a secret by now that there are certain subjects that get revisited quite a bit on the Jimquisition, and some people, not everybody, but some people, wrong people, take umbrage with that. Jim, why do you keep talking about the shit that happens on Steam? Jim, why do you keep talking about pre-order bonus bullshit? Jim, why do you keep talking about microtransactions in $60 games? Because it keeps happening. That's why. Don't get mad at me, don't shoot the messenger, okay? Don't shoot the Hermes of video games. Was Hermes the one with the little wings on his feet? I don't know, I'll Google it later. But the point is that get mad at the people who keep causing me to talk about it. It's like when people got angry at me when I used to make fun of the PS3's firmware updates. It's not my fault the joke got old. They updated the firmware every other week. That's on Sony. I'm blameless in all things. So let's talk about Deus Ex Mankind Divided, shall we? A fantastic game that I now have to denigrate and demean and indeed deride because of microtransactions, and that's not my fault, because if they weren't there, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Deus Ex Mankind Divided may be the best game I've ever played that has a publisher so intent on wrecking every last bit of goodwill it could acquire. Before we go any further, I need to stress, as I did with my coverage of Overwatch, that I adore this game. Like Overwatch, it's serious Game of the Year material as far as I'm concerned. A solid main story, excellently written and paced side missions, gameplay tweaked and polished from Human Revolution, incredible map design. Mankind Divided should be a shoo-in for honorifics at the year-end wrap-up. Except, you know, just like Overwatch and Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2, it won't be getting a single honorific from your old pal Jim Sterling, despite me really wanting to do it. Because Square Enix just can't keep its grasping little talons in its money-stuffed pockets. Long before the game was even in anybody's hands, Square Enix had jammed a sour taste into our mouths with one of the most shockingly egregious examples of pre-order culture this industry's ever seen. The notorious Augment Your Pre-Order scheme was so loathed that it had to be cancelled under an avalanche of negative press, but even to this day, people haven't forgotten it. We did an entire video on the jaw-dropping tackiness of this thing, but here's a primer in case you were unaware or forgot how gauche the whole bloody disaster was. It was basically a grotesque mutation of Kickstarter, where new pre-order bonuses were added to the game as twisted stretch goals depending on how many people pre-ordered copies. Crowd pre-ordering, if you will. Here's what I said at the time, my unscripted initial reaction to it. I mean, just wow. Pre-orders are already pointless, stupid fucking ideas in almost all cases. Now, and I say this as someone who's not as hard against them as some other people who are like never pre-ordering under any situation. I feel there are situational things where pre-ordering is a savvy move. But generally pre-ordering just some regular AAA fucking game that will be available in a store right there and then, you don't have to do it. And the bonuses are just desperate manipulative ways to try and get you to do it. And it doesn't serve you as the customer, it's just for them, just so that they've got money squirreled and squared away. And we've seen companies get less and less dignified in their attempt to try and claw at your money early. And this is just pathetic. This is the kind of practice that I really do feel we should knock on their head. So I would urge you, do not buy into that shit. Yeah, I still feel that way about it too. Glad it never happened, and I'm glad crowd pre-ordering never became a thing. Well, I'm glad it's not become a thing yet. I'm sure the industry will have another crack at the whip once we're softened up enough. If that were all, it wouldn't be too bad, but fast forward to launch day and we find that Augment Your Pre-Order was just one of several ways in which games as a business would grind its genitalia into the eyes of games as an art form. With a 1-2 punch of shoddy pre-order practices and microtransaction-fueled avarice, Square Enix has done a bang-up job turning the conversation about Mankind Divided into another discussion about how AAA games are seen by publishers as nothing but vectors for additional cash grabs. With augmented pre-orders left in the dust, Mankind Divided still needed some scrounging way to make people reserve copies, so it just tossed some basic bonus content in there as incentive, which of course worked plentifully enough because despite there being dozens of lessons to learn from by now, people still keep pre-ordering basic fucking video games. Similar to Human Revolution, these included consumable items, but unlike Human Revolution, or indeed most other fucking games with consumable pre-order items, Mankind Divided items are single use only, and when I say that, I mean you can only use them once ever. If you start a new game, Tough luck! The items are kept in a storage locker, and once you take them out, they're bound to the save file you redeemed them on. This works unlike any other game with similar bonuses. Borderlands games, for example, will always replenish any single-use items the player is entitled to when they start a new save. Mankind Divided stands anomalous as a game that truly does consume the consumables. The only workaround people have found is to have a single save file in which you've redeemed the items, and then create multiple files based off that whenever you want to play the game again. Eidos would attempt to clarify the issue, saying that while consumables are gone for good, hey, at least the durables would persist across save files. These durables including weapons, skins, and bonus augmentations unavailable in the game proper, but not the additional Praxis kits, ammo, credits, and crafting parts. Eidos blamed this on first-party constraints, but nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. And it's worth noting nobody who pre-ordered was ever told their bonuses were bound to one playthrough. You could say they didn't ask for this. Given what we'll later learn about the game's microtransactions, the finite nature of these consumables look more than a little suspect. First though, let's talk about Breach Mode. We already knew Deus Ex would feature microtransactions as part of some online mode called Breach, but we had no idea what a humongous waste of time and money this dressed up free-to-play spin-off would be. Based on the most boring sequence in Mankind Divided story mode, Breach is about being some future hacker or something running around a bunch of sparse environments to steal data and escape without getting caught. From its tutorial, more concerned about detailing all the consumables you can buy than teaching you the game, to the dull grinding gameplay itself, to the classic two-currency system seen in hundreds of slapdash freemium mobile games, Breach is set up and plays out exactly like a free-to-play game. The difference, of course, being that it's included as part of a $60 premium game, insultingly asking you for a continuous drip feed of money after you already paid a significant price. No matter the spin put on it, and there was a lot of spin put on it, Breach exists only as a way to separate users from their money. A mechanically dull time waster that pushes purchasable consumables and bears no meaningful relevance to Deus Ex as a series. Hardly a surprising move from the same company that brought us Final Fantasy All the Bravest. Still to date the most nakedly desperate attempt to get money for fucking nothing I've seen outside of Steam Greenlight. But that's not all. Microtransactions are not only relegated to Breach Mode as initially believed, in a move that completely undermines the point of playing the entire friggin' game, a move that mimics some of the unbelievable shit Namco Bandai's pulled with its RPGs over the years, a move that sells glorified cheating as DLC. Mankind Divided offers purchasable Praxis kits and credits for the solo mode, essentially allowing you to spend money and buy all the progression in the fucking game. Breach Mode is bad enough, but Square Enix just couldn't help itself, just couldn't resist making the latest Deus Ex another fee-to-pay game, a $60 game that begs and scrabbles for more money. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence that any Praxis kits purchasable in the game now cost double the credits they did in Human Revolution. What makes this extra shady is the fact that reviewers of the game had no idea these microtransactions were part of the experience. The real money shop was conveniently greyed out and inaccessible prior to launch, meaning nobody could know about the fee-to-pay elements. This is especially galling to myself, someone who makes notes of microtransactions in any review I do, a feature my readers find especially fucking useful. Would have been good to know beforehand, but no. The ability to buy in-game currency and free level ups was conveniently hidden until 0 hour. I mean, strangle me while I come if that isn't some total effing bullshit. Publishers, stop doing that. This is not the first time this has happened where the shops and the microtransactions have been greyed out, and it kind of hints at the fact that you know what you're doing isn't very good. Either proudly try and pry open people's wallets, or stop doing it if you're that fucking ashamed of it. You undignified hacks. And with all that said, we loop back around to those one-time only consumable items. It suddenly makes a lot more sense that Mankind Divided binds them to a single save with a once they're gone policy. After all, why keep giving away what you can continue selling to players for a few bucks a pop? Eidos insists the game was balanced independently of microtransactions, and not once has the single player been compromised to support this added economy. For once, I actually mostly believe the spiel this time. The game wasn't grindy to me when I played it. Upgrades were drip-fed quite nicely throughout the game, and I do believe Eidos made this game without thinking about or even maybe wanting the microtransactions. Normally, I talk about how games are reconfigured in shitty ways to support premium freemium models, but I can't say that's true in this case. Outside of the dubious nature of the game's pre-order bonuses, I can't say this game has anywhere near the level of psychological fuckery seen in something like Dead Space 3. However,
However, that almost makes the microtransactions even more insulting in Deus Ex, because literally, why are they there? It's like Square Enix tacked them on just because. Like the game was made and well balanced and designed to be enjoyed as is, but the publisher went ahead and bolted a parasitic little marketplace onto its back anyway. What's more, with the game already being well balanced, that means the microtransactions themselves are there to unbalance it, to totally upset the apple cart, to turn over the table. You can just buy whatever fucking upgrades you want, which, yeah, I understand is the player's choice, but isn't offering them the chance to totally fuck up the point of playing disrespectful to its development, its balancing, all the hard work Eido's put in? And isn't it just utterly, tragically demeaning to Deus Ex that it's been reduced to such pointless, grasping behaviour? It's just ugh. And even if it's been balanced now, let's not forget there's always updates in the future. Mortal Kombat X, of course, was rebalanced after the review period to make grinding harder so the microtransactions can be pushed. Why the fuck should we trust that the same will hold true for Deus Ex? Never trust a publisher to do something that won't fuck everything up. This is all grimly ironic for a series that itself is very unsubtle about its criticism of unchecked capitalism and pleonectic corporate interests. And I'm not even mad, just disappointed. Like I already said, this isn't shocking coming from Square Enix, a company that has proven just as exploitative as any Western publisher, but it is sad that yet again, we have a big budget game that I truly adore undermined in some way, conceptually if not mechanically, by a business's constant need to double dip. No, not even double dip really, dip ad infinitum, with its $60 game and pre-order clawing and collector's edition and digital deluxe edition and DLC and season pass and microtransactions, because no amount of money will ever be enough fucking money for these audacious dismantlers of a whole medium's integrity. So it is yet again that another quality game is crossed off my awards list for the end of the year, leaving just No Man's Sky, for fuck's sake. I'm being facetious, I'll never get anywhere near it. Joining the aforementioned Garden Warfare 2 and Overwatch, and I do still stand by the high score and high praise I gave Mankind Divided, as I did with those other games. And I know what some will say. Some will say, but Jim, if you still think the games are of superb quality, why are you letting the microtransactions bother you so much? Why would you disqualify games from awards just over something optional? And the answer is this: because fuck them. I feel I no longer need to explain and re-explain my stance on fee-to-pay games. The opinions and arguments are out there. The impact they have on the industry, the precedent they set, the simple fact they have no place in a game charging a premium. I've said this before, I still mean it, and I'm not letting it go just because you like this game. I'm done with the dismaying number of people dead set on circling their preferred game and defending it from things they happily watch other games get torn to shreds for. So my answer henceforth is simple: fuck microtransactions in premium games. Fuck fee-to-pay products. I need no argument more nuanced than that anymore. Fuck them hard, fuck them with a big metal alloy augmented penis.
My friends, keep me in your thoughts and prayers this week, for tomorrow they are injecting my back with some shit. Just putting some, not literal shit, I realised the way I said that quite emphatically, it made it sound like I'm going to a doctor with a syringe full of feces. No, they're filling my spine with some stuff to try and make it better, because of that, the rupture that meant I couldn't do the UK for a while. So that's going to be interesting. I've been lucky these past few weeks, actually. The pain kind of settled a bit, although today apparently it's having one last hurrah. You're very lucky I stand up here to talk to you, fighting through the pain like Marcus Phoenix used to shout to Dom in that game, that one with the guns. So, you know, just be grateful for that is what I'm saying, and if I don't make it back, then avenge me. I don't know where that came from. It's not even surgery. It's just an injection. I'll be fine. But if I don't make it back, avenge me. And thank God for me. Okay, that wouldn't kill you, would it?
Over here, I'm a Boglin. Me and my buddies need a place to hide out.
It's your number one Boglin boy, Jim Sterling, here with Boglin Watch 2016, where we're going to be giving you all the hot Boglin news. Basically, the big news here is that I have this one. That's what a lot of Boglin Watch is. It's basically look at the Boglins I have. And I've got this one. This is Vlob, as you can see here. Here's a blue one. I like this. I like that he's blue. He is one of the 3 big Boglins. There were 3 large Boglins. If you look at the back of the box, this tells you all the different Boglins. Maybe at one point we'll talk about the medium Boglins here, but that relies on getting them. Right now, we're talking about one of the 3 large ones, Vlob. Let's read what it has to say, shall we? Smartest of the... Buttleby, do you have to scratch the... I couldn't be bothered to bring the lav mic out here, so I'm using the camcorder mic, mate. So this is going to sound like shit. As with all large Boglins, Vlob comes in this handsome box. The boxes themselves becoming precious commodities to the concerned Boglin aficionado. Now, the original ones here, the original runs, had these cage bars. You can get in there, that's fine, but it keeps the Boglin in, and a hole underneath with instructions of how to operate your Boglin. You could stick your hand in and operate it from there. I can't right now because I can't get my gloved hand in there. I can just about get my normal fat hand in there, but I'm wearing gloves for style, so I can't get in there. Let's open up the box and see what Vlob is like inside, shall we? There we are. It slides up and down. It was a great gimmick. Children loved it. Come here. So this is Vlob. Eyes move from side to side. Hello, Bartleby. Do you like the Boglin? Do you like the Boglin? His eyes move from side to side. That is a big part of Boglins. Sometimes the eyes are broken, so if you're buying a Boglin, make sure that the eyes move from side to side. Mouth open like that, mouthy mouth, and they're very pliable and malleable. The quality of Vlob is pretty good. I always make sure that quality is important when I get a Boglin. Bit dirty. Big problem with these is that they're very rubbery and were played with by children. Dirty little children that can't appreciate quality fucking products when they fucking see them. So as you can see, he's got a lot of dirt sort of on raised areas here, but all in all, he's fairly clean, and that's about the best you can hope for with a lot of these ones. Getting a completely untarnished one is going to be difficult. But he's pretty clean. This one has a bit of issue. It might not show up on the camera, but he's got some glitter on him. At some point he ended up with glitter on him, which has stuck to the relatively sticky surface of the Boglin. At some point I may have to try and get this professionally cleansed. I don't recommend you do that at home. Be careful. Other than that, paint in the mouth's pretty good. A little bit of wear, but that's to be expected. In the interior, everything's working as intended. This looks pretty good in there. The tabs are in place. That's one thing that gets overlooked. If you look just carefully, where is it? What eye is it? It's barely perceptible, but there are little tabs affixed to the plastic eye thing that's supposed to make the eyelids wink a bit, but they never really worked, and the tabs are really flimsy, so they break a lot. But this one is 100% intact, which is good. So I like Vlob. He gets 5 Boglins out of 5. That was my Boglin show. Don't be angry with me, Ashens.